What's up? What's happening, people? Clicked on this video. It said erotic thriller. I was banking on it. I was banking on your curiosity, your pervertedness, your sick monkeys. You are sick monkeys. Just kidding. I love the erotic thriller genre. If you don't know what the erotic thriller genre is, maybe you are under the age of 40. If you're from 40 to 60, you know what it is. You grew up with it. It's a genre of movies that is basically a descendant of the classic noir movie. But it's like 80s-ified, you know? Lots of rain, lots of saxophone, sleazy saxophone. Hold on, you know what we need here? We need some sleazy blues guitar. Can you give me some sleazy? Yes. Yes, that's perfect. Now we can continue. To me, the erotic thriller is all about the atmosphere. It's not just the softcore sex scenes injected into the thriller, the mystery. It's a whole ambiance of debauchery. It's sexual debauchery. I feel a lot of it is repressed sexuality, like cracking out of its shell.
A gripping tale of power, passion, and revenge.
Detective, I think your investigation's just beginning.
Shannon Tweed heats up the screen in the sizzling suspense thriller, Human Desires.
I have a quote here from a British film professor about erotic thrillers. This is what she has to say about it. She says, erotic thrillers are noirish stories of sexual intrigue incorporating some form of criminality or duplicity, often as the flimsy framework for on-screen softcore sex. Well, Linda, you are not invited to this party. Get out of here with that attitude. You know, and one of the things that I enjoyed about the erotic thriller era compared to now is everything is just so in your face now, you know, like porn is so normalized and it's just like exasperated to like licking buttholes and just all this gangbang crazy stuff. And it was like back in the day, you know, the erotic thriller was, it's 2 beers at a bar, you know what I'm saying? Like nowadays it'd be like grabbing a bottle of vodka and chugging it, metaphorically speaking. It was healthy. It was a healthy release. It wasn't over the top. It was a little dirty. It was a little softcore. Get you a little excited. I kind of miss that. I miss the subtlety of things. You know, 2 beers at a bar. You're not wasted. But you're having a good time. You're having a good time. It's not a problem. It's not ruining your life. You know. So let's bring back the erotic thriller. Like, actually, you know what? You can't go backwards. Everything's ruined. It doesn't matter. But we can celebrate the era of the erotic thriller. Some of the most infamous erotic thrillers are Fatal Attraction, Basic Instinct was a huge one. Those are like the big ones, you know. But if you really want to get to the heart of a genre, the word of the people, you know what I'm saying, the real stuff, you gotta get down. You gotta get down into the muck, right? So to me, the true erotic thriller is the direct-to-video erotic thriller. Just like punk music, just like Pulp Fiction, that stuff that is made by the working class people, that's the real stuff. Okay? So after this review, we are going to review a book here. It's not just me talking about erotic thriller. After this review, I'm going to give a suggestion of a movie that you can go check out. It's on Tubi. It's pure, low-budget, erotic thriller wonderfulness, okay? So, yeah, so here we go. Let's, we're going to review this book now. 3 minutes in, 4 minutes in. We're going to talk about Shadow Stalker here by Jorge Saralegi. Still don't know how to say his last name. Sorry, sir. This is Charter Books from 1987. I consider this an erotic thriller version. Erotic thriller in book form. I would say it's more psychological erotic thriller, though. So, here, why don't we talk a little bit about Mr. Saralegi there. Jorge Saralegi was born in 1953 and is still alive, which we're always happy to hear. He was born in Cuba and grew up in New York. He spent a little time in my neck of the woods, graduating from Antioch College, along with Lawrence Block, Rod Serling, and Leonard Nimoy, though not all at the same time. Though he wrote 3 novels, Last Rites in 1985, Shadow Stalker in 1987, and Looker in 1990, he is most well known as a film producer, having a hand in such movies as Speed, Independence Day, Broken Arrow, and Die Hard with a Vengeance. In 2005, he teamed up with Clive Barker to form the production company The Midnight Picture Show. Alright, the basic premise here. Prison psychologist Jack Sanderson vouches for the early release of convicted murderer Daniel Doppler. Daniel Doppler has a wife who was diabetic and had an insulin mix-up, and now she's in a coma. While she was in the coma, Daniel Doppler's releasing some energy at the bar, and a man insinuates that he fondles said wife in her coma. Daniel Doppler is offended, gets in a fight, punches him, the guy cracks his neck on the end of the table, dies. So Doppler has to go to prison. While in prison, he's talking to the psychologist, Jack Sanderson, telling his sad story. Sanderson is a well-meaning, Volvo-driving liberal guy with a bumper sticker that says U.S. out of Central America. So he's here for him. He's on his side, and he vouches for Daniel Doppler's early release. Daniel Doppler gets out, goes to his hometown where his wife, his comatose wife, is now back in the hospital. Grandma can't take care of her. Doppler wants her back into his care. But back in town, Jack Sanderson, Dr. Sanderson, is talking to some of the people in town, and red flags start appearing that maybe Doppler isn't all that he seems. He puts a stop to Doppler getting his wife back. Doppler snaps. Turns out he's a complete sociopath, and the rest of the book is him stalking in the shadows. He's stalking in the shadows Sanderson and his wife. What we have here is a 1980s psychological erotic thriller. The eroticness is in line with a lot of how the movies are. In the movies, they are very much a femme fatale, where the woman is kind of, in the lead, right? And the guy's kind of a sucker. The woman is using the sexuality, and the guy's just a dumbass doing stupid things. And it all leads bad. So the sexuality in this book, the eroticness, though it is there's kind of softcore sex scenes. There's peep shows. There's some comments on sexuality that are hot button issues to this day. There is a character who's a repressed transgender person who's also schizophrenic, and it has very dated ideas on these things. I know schizophrenia gets a bad rap, and transgender back in the 80s in the horror movies and the thriller, Silence of the Lambs, etc. This young middle-class couple of Jack Sanderson and his wife Wendy have to deal with this sociopath basically on the edge of the darkness. Always out there, always, out of arm's reach, but he's always there and he's always messing with them. And they have to try to kind of live their lives while this guy's tormenting them. What's cool about this book is because you're like, oh, that kind of sounds boring, but it shows the perspective from both them and him. So it switches perspectives many times of who's ever's lead in the story. That's their perspective. The Daniel Doppler perspective. This man is so interesting to read about. He's a complete sociopath. He's not angry. He's always very calm, and he's always very dead. It takes a lot to rattle his feathers. He doesn't really get upset outwardly. he manipulates everyone he comes across. Okay, so he meets a young punk rock girl. She's a teenage runaway. She works at the Peep Show. She is a second-all poppin' street kid, I guess. She wants to be in an all-female punk band, which is awesome. By the way, this thing is super 80s. It takes place in San Francisco. They mention like punks, the Mumbai Gardens, you know. I kept hoping that they were gonna mention the Dead Kennedys or something. They're gonna go to a punk show, but it just randomly mentions punk stuff, you know. Punks are around, and it's very street kids. It's very like gutters and alleys and peep shows and junkies and all that great stuff, that street stuff. It takes place in the Tenderloin district in San Francisco, and it's just scummy. This is a very scummy street punk book, and very 80s, you know. Jack Sanderson, the psychologist, he's a well-meaning dude. He probably doesn't make the best decisions. We have his wife, who's kind of she's a damsel in distress for the most part, but she has some things to say. There's some comments here about some real world issues about abuse, sexual and mental abuse of women in relationships. But for the most part, she is the damsel in distress. There is the teenage runaway girl, the girlfriend of Daniel Doppler, Natasha, who, you know, you feel bad for her. You feel bad. You want her to come out of that. She's the fly caught in the spider's web, you know. You're rooting for her. It's probably not going to happen. No spoilers. Maybe she gets away. You don't know. You got to read the book. So we got her. She's popping, you know, pills, and she's out of it. And she's kind of like, no, she's not kind of. She is manipulated 100% by Doppler. She's kind of afraid of him. But she also has got nowhere else to go. And he makes her do things that are... This is where the sexuality comes into part, and it's kind of like the tormenting, taunting. She's part of the taunting of the couple. There is Wendy's dad, who is up there with Doppler as one of the best characters. He is a retired police officer. He's a very... reactionary right-wing guy to balance the Sanderson character. They're complete opposites, with her in the middle. There's some weird sexuality stuff with him and violence, and he's very reckless, and he is a wife beater, mental abuser, but he also goes in there to you know, he goes in kick ass when she needs to be taken care of. He goes for it, you know. So this is very much a psychological thriller. It really reminded me of Cape Fear. You know, like, what do you do? What do you do when someone is very obviously after you? They make it known that they're after you, and no one can really do anything about it because they're not doing anything. They're just subtly tormenting you. And I think that this is like an eye-opener to me as a guy, because the main character is a guy, you know, the Sanderson character, as to what it's like to be stalked, like for many women. I was like, oh, like, it's kind of sad to say that it had to be from a dude's perspective for me to actually understand what it might be like, and it is horrible. It would be like the worst. I think I would just snap and go after them, like, we're gonna put an end to that, and then I would be in prison, you know. It'd be no good. It's just this is a lose-lose situation that you get stuck in. There's a big, wonderful climax. It's violent. You know, I'm just gonna put that out there. It is violent. There's some bad stuff, but I mean, that's what it's supposed to be. That's the story, right? If we wanted all hunky-dory, we'd just go watch Disney movies, right? No, we want to get down into the dirt. It's an escape. Maybe the good guys win, maybe they don't, you know, who knows? You gotta read it. What I suggested, yes, this is great. This was a very fun read. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and say it was fun. Speaking of fun, there was some little, I guess they're called Easter eggs now, but little nods to things. Number one, Jack, Wendy. They're named Jack and Wendy. So, The Shining is obviously The Shining, the Jack and Wendy characters. There is a character legit named Dr. Loomis who has a drawing of a pumpkin on his wall. So he gives a nod to Halloween. There's lots of references to 80s music. Someone's wearing a Pierre Oob shirt. Like I said, the Mumbai Gardens, the punks, there is a mention, there's one weird part, because he mentions lots of music in here, and there's one weird part where he says that they're like, oh, it's like that Talking Heads song where their beds are burning, or something like that, and it's like, that's Midnight Oil, dude, and you know it's Midnight Oil. So it made me wonder if it was a crack against Midnight Oil, saying they were all wannabe Talking Heads, or Talking Heads and Midnight Oil are all just mushed together and he can't tell the difference. I don't know, but I thought it was interesting. So yeah, the movie I would like to recommend is called The Rain Killers. It's on Tubi. If you got Roku or wherever people watch Tubi, I don't know. And it is about someone out in the rain killing people. Whenever it rains, someone gets murdered, and this cop, this young angry cop, gets assigned the case, and the feds assign him a partner, so he's got to work with this federal agent, and the federal agent has a girlfriend, and then the angry cop who hates the Fed is like hooking up with the girlfriend, and I don't know, it's sleazy. It's so sleazy, and it has the rain and like the sleazy guitar music. Sleazy is the key word here, and it is so the epitome of what I imagine an 80s erotic thriller to be. So go check that out. I'll put the trailer at the end of this video. So I guess that's it. I'm out of here.
Smart, he's systematic. Look for a link between the victims.
No connection, except they were all well-to-do women about the same age.
All three victims were in drug rehab.
And the rain. When they were both killed, it was raining.
You'll be working with an FBI agent from now on.
This thing gets solved on the streets.
You bet.
Wait. Your wife was a former user?
Who's your friend?
Him?
Well, he looks very interesting.
What kind of guy makes moves on the wife of the guy that he's working with?
LAPD's not looking too good on this one. The Bureau wants an arrest or a fall guy. I don't intend to go down with it, you understand?